So what would you say makes a great coach?
Ooh, big question that. Lots of things. I think feeling supported is the major thing, and an understanding of your why, not just an acknowledgement of it. There's a difference between an understanding and an acknowledgement. I think that's a big thing, and then wanting that to succeed for you, wanting that to play out in the way you see it in your head. That makes a great coach, because then everything hinges off that. Communication hinges off that. The messages that are portrayed, the importance of doing the basics will all hinge off that sort of foundation of your why. And your coach will be able to use that in the right way to motivate you at the right time, because if you've got a long-standing goal, you're going to get challenged, you're going to face a lot of difficulties. So being able to sort of compound that belief and idea back into you is a skill. I think that makes a great coach. I think, obviously, I've not even said anything about knowledge, I've not said anything about level in like bodybuilding or anything like that, because those are the most important things. Those are the most important values that a coach should have, in my book. I touched on this before about why I wanted to come into coaching, but the actual process of it starting, I can remember I was getting coached by Ben, and I was thinking about every time I was going to sessions, I was thinking, I want to do what you're doing. And you know the reasons why from last time. I knew Ben had already spoke to me before about staying in corporate, doing well in that, because he knew the sort of pitfalls in coaching and personal training at the time. And I can remember I was going to my brother's wedding in Sri Lanka, and I wanted to tell him, I said, mate, I want to do it. And I said to him, I need to tell you something, but I'll tell you after I get back off holiday. He was fucking having none of it. He was fucking texting me saying, come on, tell me. I was like, fine. So I told him, I said, listen, I want to be a coach. And he just went straight away, but no way. Because he knew what the difficulties would be. He'd been through the challenges himself, and he sort of didn't want that for me. And I can remember being sat on the runway, and he was texting me. He texted me this massive, and I mean like this, you know when WhatsApp says read more? He sent me this message, and it was all the reasons of why I shouldn't do it. But then he sent me another message that says, because I've given you that, I should give you the flip side. And he gave me all the positives. So I looked at it and I said, mate, I still want to do it. And even though I was on the other side of the world, as that sort of conversation grew, I think he sort of thought about, well, I want to be able to bring you through into this business. I want to be able to do that, and how can I do that? And then he started coaching practice. And that's how that sort of conversation kicks out of that cycle. And now coaching practice is a recognised coaching business in the UK. We've got a lot of leading coaches, we've got fucking phenomenal results. And yeah, it came about through that conversation. It wasn't a straightforward conversation, it was like a process. And we chatted about it for hours. And we chatted about how I was going to do it. I found another job that would give me sort of more freedom, that was sort of rigid hours, a proper 9 to 5, where I could turn up at 9 o'clock instead of turning up at 7 like in a different job. And I worked it all around that. I'd go in, I was coaching in the morning, Ultraflex, go to 9 to 5, come back, coach. And then that just built up and built up. And as people understood the level that I was giving them in sessions, I got more and more sessions. And there was a tipping point where, God, mate, I was doing Jay Davis hours. I was doing 16-hour days. I was getting up at 5. I'd coach Ultraflex. Literally, mate, I'd coach 6 a.m. till 8, go to work at Leeds, come back at 5, and I'd coach till 9 o'clock at night, 5 days a week. It was a buzz, and I liked it. And that sort of decision to come into coaching was just solidified, because when I had to drive to Leeds to work, I was sort of depressed. And then when I was finishing, I was buzzing about getting back to go and coach. And when that balance was just too much to handle, through the sort of lockdowns and all that sort of stuff, I just made the decision to go full time and never look back. It's just grown and grown from there. There was a point I was doing 53 sessions a week, 53 one-to-ones a week. So it went from working those sorts of hours, going full-time coaching, go into sort of normal hours because I had enough clients at that time, but then it just exponentially grew even further than that. So I was still probably doing the same hours I was doing when I had both jobs, but that was just in coaching, it was just in PTing. But then it was about making different decisions, smarter decisions about how to be efficient as a coach. Is that efficient long term and stuff like that? So yeah, it's grown and grown, and this is all through these lockdowns. This is growing these businesses and going into this field when we went into the lockdown in March last year, March 23rd was it? And yeah, I never thought within that circumstance I'd be able to come into a business and grow my coaching business as it has, and even like the coaching practice business is just, we've launched and grown businesses in this time where a lot of other people have struggled, which sometimes feels a bit, what's the way to say it? I feel a bit guilty because obviously people have been suffering and people have been struggling a little bit, but it's just what we did with the time.
Can't even climb without a fear of falling. How you gonna reach your highs if you don't put your all in? I've been down so many times it's crazy, but all the years of blood, sweat and tears is what made me. I've been bruised, been broken. Only thing I know to do is keep going. Only thing I know to do is keep motion. And if they doubt you, it just means you gotta show.
Well, I said to him from day one, like even when we first ever met, no matter kind of what he does in life, he takes it to an extreme. Almost pushing it past. The thing is, he's got that much blinkers on with whatever he does. When we first met, there was nothing that had kind of stopped him achieving what he wanted to do. And I truly believe if he'd have gone into a bodybuilding route 3 years ago, he wouldn't have thought about it anywhere near as what he would have done now. Whereas now he's kind of got to this point, and I remember when he turned around to me 6 months ago and I just went, go for it. I said, but if you are going to do it properly. He went, right, I'm going to start YouTube. And I went, if you are going to do it properly. And he went, yeah, I will do. And that's exactly what he has done. When I first met Haran, I'd put myself in life at a very high pedestal. I'd achieved kind of a lot. But the first time I met Haran, I had nothing. Like literally the first time I ever met him, I'd left the city, I'd left my job, I'd lost all the money I had. I lived on a mattress. I think again, if you're close to us and you know the story from 2018, like you know last night, it was a bad story. And he was kind of in the first year. I was psychologically, I'm mentally not anywhere near where I am now. And at the same time, Haran, when I first met, I knew there was some sort of limitation to his mindset. It was not in the case of, like I've just said, he will achieve anything that he wants to. But he would drive himself into the ground. He would work to the point where it was unhealthy. And I knew that I was going through a lot at the time, and I've said I got professional help to try and get me through that year. And I remember turning around to him and saying, I said, right, why are you actually doing this? And he went, what do you mean? Why are you working to the point where it is literally making you ill, mate? I said, this is not you. What's your relationship like? What's your relationship with yourself like? Your training, your diet? And I said, you're all over the place. This is back before coaching. And he turned around and he said, because this is the first point we connected, and I felt it. And he was like, right. He said, my mum, obviously, you know the story about his mum passing. His dad and his brother, they have an incredibly high achieving family. And I mean, you get families who are like, yeah, you've got a few people who are quite smart, and I mean, but the people in his family are all up at this level. And he would have said, I want to kind of be there, I want to make my mum proud. And I kind of connected with him at that point because everything that I did from growing up was from like a loss of a family through suicide, and I kind of made that point. I said, I want to achieve so much in education, so much in work to kind of, it was just an emotional attachment to that situation. So when he said that to me about his mum, I knew that his reason why was very similar to mine. And I kind of knew at that point that there was nothing that would stop him achieving what he wanted to do.
Elbows, that's it. Elbows.
When I first met Ben, it was Iron Athlete at the time, and he came over, and I knew I wanted to do that shoot with Bailey that I did, but I didn't have a clue who to sort of approach about it. And Ben came over and he was coaching, and at that time, what he was offering and what I was seeing him do was different. When I was watching the PT clients and that, I thought, this guy, he just knows his shit. He's bothered. He's watching every single part of the session. I've seen PTs do sessions, mate, where they're with a client and they're not even looking at him, not speaking to him. They've got the phone out, whatever. I've had that service myself, and I thought, he's going to get me somewhere. So I sent him a message, and we had a chat in the gym, and he said something that sort of, I say it to him that it pissed me off a little bit, because he said I told him about the goal, I told him about the shoot with Bailey, and he said, I need to see if you've got the minerals to train properly first. I was like, is he joking? Like, and I kind of wanted to prove him wrong a bit, so I said, yeah, sign me up, 3 sessions a week, whatever, and it just grew like phenomenally from there. The quality was there, but the relationship was building, and I thought I was going to see a session. I thought I can trust this guy, and the sessions then turned into us training together, and then it didn't feel like I was going in for a session. It's like I was going to train with my mate. Ben's an important person to me. I don't mind saying that to anyone. How we've grown in the past sort of, I think it was, where did this shoot? 2019, Bailey. So I was with him for about 18 months. So about 2018, I must have met him. I was thinking differently. I was thinking differently about decisions I was making. I was thinking more positively about where I wanted to go. A lot of that's attributed to how he sort of moulded me in that process, and the sort of questions he was asking me about myself. And yeah, my confidence grew from that.
If you want to step forward and move forward, you've got to go back. And he was the same as me, and he was the same. He was very reluctant to go back and look over it. And it was literally getting to the point I said, I will stop coaching you. I said, I'll not have anything to do with you unless you go back and address what this is. And since that point, we went back, evaluated everything. And in that 6-month period, we both just went, oof. In that first 6 months, it was rough, it was hard, it was more of a, it weren't even a friendship. It was just like he was there to listen to me, I was there to listen to him. He'd help me with this. Put it this way, this is the first time me and him have ever done anything socially. In 3 years, I think it is. 3 years, we've not done anything socially. All it's ever been is getting us through stuff what's happened. Business, work, education, coaching. That's all it's ever been. I just 100% know that there's absolutely nothing will kind of stop him, because it's just we had this level of respect as we went forwards, like with coaching practice. When I started that, I wanted to have like this. I hold myself at really, really high standards, and it's really, really hard to hold other people at high standards. Like in business, that's what I've learned. People are the problem. It's just a common term. Whereas Haran isn't, because I know Haran's got the same high standards as me, and it's very rare that you come across someone who's got such similar values, like really specific similar values about how to treat people, what to work towards, morals. So yeah, 100% I think we complement each other in every way possible. Don't get me wrong, we can go at it, and I do always come out on top, but we don't know, I don't really. We say if we're doing it, two people really passionate about one thing, and we'll never argue about something to do with us, it's something to do with something else. But it's the frustration surrounded about something else, and we'll butt heads and come together, and then we'll both like, oh God, I feel shit now. But then in that moment, we can't be like, oh, sorry mate. We'll just go a bit quiet for 48 hours and then just crack on like nothing ever happened. That's happened numerous times.
now we're at a point where we can have a conversation about business, we can have a conversation about that, or we can have a conversation about anything else, and it's really familiar. You see, if I see Ben, I know I'm going to have a good chat with him. I know I'm going to have a chat that's going to move me forward in some sense. And on the other side, he'll know I'll always tell him straight. He's launched, well, God knows how many businesses, 4 or 5 businesses, whatever, 3, 4 businesses, and I'll always tell him straight what I think. I'll tell him if he needs to think differently. I'll tell him if I agree or disagree. And I think that's a bit rare. I think some people are sometimes just like nod their head and say yes to everything, but it's not really about that. And we respect each other, and that's what it was. So when I was asking him about coaching, I knew I could ask loads of people about coaching. There's loads of people in the gym and stuff, but I knew he'd give me everything I need to think about. So yeah, we're tight. We're definitely tight. But there's been some needle as well, I must admit. But that's just when you have that level of respect with someone, you'll challenge each other. So it's bound to happen at a certain point. But yeah, he's an important person to me. And when it comes to bodybuilding, fitness, and all this sort of stuff, he sort of set me on this path. And yeah, I respect him a lot for that.